Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielsen and Hustler back with you once again. A little bit later than usual. It's Friday. It's Remembrance Day. Usually we stream right at 11. We certainly were going to do that today, so we decided to do it at noon Mountain, 1 o'clock Central Time, and got a bunch of best bets for you. And a very tough week. We got Thursday night. We can break down kind of quickly. Huss, you hit the spread. I hit the total. I got one of my player props. PJ Walker was certainly under 170. Didn't get that Chuba Hubbard touchdown, but not a bad game. I mean, I expect it to be worse with some of the other Thursday nighters we've seen so far.
Well, the weird thing was, I mean, the Foreman prop cashed in the first half, which was awesome. Yep. What sucks is that I replaced the field goal prop with that, which cashed easily. But the funniest thing is that, all those field goals happened. And the reason the damn total didn't go over was because Younghoe Koo missed 2 extra points last night. So, listen, it was an unpredictable game. I did like the way Carolina played. They certainly did run the football well and were deserving of the win. But I don't know. It wasn't quite the gambling roller coaster that we got 2 or 3 weeks ago when those teams played. But let's just be happy that we don't have Carolina and Atlanta on the slate coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, you know what? That is one of the nice things. Get a lot of these Thursday night teams simply out of the way, buddy. I think that's a good way. That's a good way to look at this thing. Pat Gregoire from Coolbet is going to join us pretty much right off the top here. He's going to slide in for a little visit, and we'll get his thoughts on. And Huss, before we bring in Patty here, I mean, you said that you've been looking at these picks for the last 12 hours. This is not an easy week to break down.
I don't know. I think it's partly the fact that I've had such a good run here and I'm 10 games above 500 in the best bets that I'm agonizing over them even more.
Yeah.
But honestly, this is there's a bunch of injury questions right now. We've got plenty of line movement. I guess we'll talk about this with Pat right away. This Bills Vikings line is sitting at 3.5. It's come down from about 7 when it came out. And that, of course, is because there's huge questions about Josh Allen. Do you like, essentially, is this the Case Keenum line? Do you like the Bills minus 3.5 with a backup quarterback at home? Coming off that loss to the Jets against the Vikings, tough. And, Ryan Tannehill, it's hard to even consider betting the Titans to win if Malik Willis is the quarterback. We all thought that Tannehill might be out a few more weeks with that high ankle sprain, but he apparently was a full participant in practice yesterday. So to me, that really complicated that Denver-Tennessee game as well. You've got the new coach in Indy going up against the Raiders. I mean, there's a number of cross-offs today, and I think I'm going to end up riding with some of the better teams in the National Football League and laying some points. You know me, I'm usually looking to get points in most of these picks. I just didn't I didn't feel too good about many of the underdogs this week. So we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Well, we'll certainly dive into that. There's a couple of games that we're both on this week, which sometimes is good news, unless it's in that damn partner parlay, which we'll try to hit another one of those. And we'll dive into that on Saturday with our props and parlays episode. That'll be happening tomorrow. Pat Gregoire from Coolbet pops by for a visit.
Patty, what's up?
How we doing? Good to see you, fellas. I don't know what happened there, but I agree with you guys. There's some really tricky lines, and we might as well start with that Bills line. If Josh Allen is not playing, there is next to no reason to be betting on this Bills team. Maybe I'm buying into that. The Vikings might be a pretty good football team, but I don't know. Case Keenum, certain. Did you see him trying to bounce around through some of those tackling dummies? He was the first human being to actually be tackled by a tackle dummy. This is maybe me being a scared Bills fan here. And I'll be honest, I don't care. The goal for this Buffalo Bills team should be just get Josh Allen healthy. If he's not healthy, do not play him. If he's 85%, don't play him. Because Josh Allen, if you put him in that game, you can't rein him in. It's not like, oh, don't run. We're only throwing the ball 20 times. It's the full Josh Allen experience. And I'll be honest, the last couple 2 weeks that we've seen of Josh Allen's kind of more like 2018 Josh Allen. Maybe sitting him down, reining him in, kind of getting him healthy again might not be the worst thing for this team right now. And let's be honest, I think their defense is good enough here to keep this a lower scoring game and come out with a possible win here.
Well, the crazy thing is that you would think the Bills, with the way that they played and how good they've been, would be, a team that would be in a position to say, you know what, let's be prudent. Let's give Josh a week or two off. They've got a half-game lead in that division right now after losing to the Jets last week.
Tough.
The Jets are 6-3. The Dolphins are 6-3. Even the Patriots right now are 5-4 in last place in their division. Man, the Patriots wish that they were in the NFC South right about now. But I mean, it's a very competitive division, and all these wins are important. And then, of course, you also know that the Kansas City Chiefs are 6-2 as well right now in the AFC. Yeah. Now, Buffalo does have the tiebreaker. Kansas City's got Jacksonville. If the Bills do lose this game, then the Chiefs have pole position on that number 1 seed in the bye, which is so impactful. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Bills handle this going forward. Dusty, we know Allen is an absolute gamer, and he's going to want to be out there. If he's not out there, I think you have to be somewhat concerned about his availability for the next couple of weeks for sure. And we'll see how deep this Bills team and how much they can rely on a very elite defense up against a Minnesota team that has found ways to win week after week after week this season.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So much of the talk for this game, we're talking here about Josh Allen and the Bills. I mean, that alone should motivate the Vikings. The Vikings have a better record than the Bills, and they're getting, like, Case Keenum's a 3.5 point. Like, if they're sitting here looking at it going, Case Keenum's 3.5 point dog or 3.5 point favorite over us right now, and we're a one-loss team. Like, I could see this whole discussion and all the focus on the Bills. I understand why it's the case, but look, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not too sure if I buy the Vikings as what they've looked like so far. I mean, TJ Hawkinson seemed to be a really good pickup, and he was heavily involved last week. But I think I'm staying away from this game entirely because I think this is if the Vikings go out, hand the Bills their 4th loss of the season and improve to whatever it is, 9-1 or whatever, people are going to have to start giving them some respect, aren't they?
I think this is the old line in the sand game. Like, if they win this game, although here's the thing, like, even if Josh Allen does play, people are going to say, well, how healthy was Josh Allen? He's
banged up, yeah.
If Case Keenum plays, you only beat Case Keenum. Well, let's be honest. Like, we've seen good football teams win games and change their game plan with suboptimal quarterbacks, which Case Keenum is. But he's a game manager. He likely won't turn the ball over. They're going to try. Maybe this is a way that the Bills can kind of figure out their run game. I'm staying away from a side. I kind of like that under 43. Now, if Josh Allen comes out, like Bobby Boucher through the tunnel, and he ends up playing and he's healthy, that total might be a little bit scary. But if he doesn't play, I think the game plan for the Buffalo Bills flips to, let's pressure Kirk Cousins, Von Miller go to town, and let's run the ball as much as possible with committee, with their 3 backs who all kind of are competing to be that number 1 back, and none of them really have shown it so far.
What else do you like this week, Patty? What else is jumping out at you for this Sunday slate? Huss and I have a little bit of a difficult time with this one. What do you think of it overall?
Yeah, it's a really tough slate. Like, I think there's a lot of ratty lines. I think there's a lot of lines that are like, you look at it and you're like, I think that's like right there. Like, the books have done a really good job. If this game was played in Tampa or in Seattle, I'm no doubt going with the Seahawks. It kind of scares me that it's in Germany. It's going to be like 6 a.m. time for the Seahawks. But man, Geno Smith has been unbelievable, not just this season, but against Brady in his career. 4-0 against the spread. Every single game has been within 3 points, which is insane to me. So I think I might go with the Seahawks plus 2.5. I think it's going to be a close game. The Bucs still, they had that crazy comeback, but I still don't think they're a very good team. And I think Seattle's a strong team. I think no one is giving this team respect. And they just said, okay, this is the game that, they finally fall down to earth. And speaking of crazy trends, this one, take it as you will, but it's hilarious. Kevin Stefanski is 11-0 against the spread versus teams named after a non-flying animal. 5-0 against the Bengals, 1-0 against the Colts, 1-0 against the Jags, 1-0 against the Bears, 1-0 against the Broncos, 1-0 against the Lions, and 1-0 against the Panthers. They're playing the Dolphins, and fellas, last time I checked, Dolphins can't swim. Give me the Browns. I'm riding with this trend right now.
You said Dolphins can't swim at the end, as opposed.
Oh, I did. Yes, Dolphins can't swim.
I had to bring it back up. That was
Hammer
classic.
Miami.
Man, how about
Miami, exactly.
How about trends? Hey, that's amazing. I love it. I love it.
I saw it. Like someone retweeted. I thought it was just like a joke.
Yeah.
But I went back and looked through, and sure as shit, I just read it out there. It's true. So unless Dolphins can grow a pair of wings over the weekend here and they can start flying, I think I got to go with the Browns.
Dolphins do have the ability to jump pretty high out of the water.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
For them, yeah.
But that's great. Can they stop Nick Chubb? Like, we can have swimming, we can have flying. Can they stop the Browns running game?
It's the Chubb Bowl. It's the Chubb Bowl, right?
And I've stayed away from this game. I mean, we know how good Miami's offense has been. Well, they also got absolutely torched by the Chicago Bears last week and Justin Fields. So, but Denzel Ward's back. The Cleveland's had some defensive issues, and particularly a corner. He was a full participant in practice. They should have a little bit of help. Whether that's enough to slow down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I'm not sure. But I do think that we'll see the Browns try and run the football, just drain the clock. And, for a team that has had so many big numbers and big scoring games, the 49, I'm actually thinking that this might go under just because of the game plan of the Cleveland Browns trying to do everything they can to keep the Dolphins offense off the field. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can be relatively successful with that. That being said, even with the hook at 3.5, I still have a tough time betting the Browns on the road right now, although I did consider it for this game.
Yeah,
I took the Dolphins. We'll get to it. They're on my best bets. I'll lay it out for you when we get there, but I'm on the Dolphins.
I mean, all jokes aside, Dolphins is probably the play, but you're totally right, Huss. Like, that's the game strip. Similarly, what we were talking about with the Bills, if there's no Josh Allen, like that is going to be the game plan for the Browns. Just try to keep that explosive offense off the field as much as possible. So definitely, and a game I kind of wanted to pick your guys' brain. I don't really know necessarily, and this just kind of goes to show you what I think about this board. I really don't have too many strong leans at this point. Probably going to be a heavy prop play and prop days. But for me, Raiders -5 against the Colts. Are we even sure the Colts, that their entire team's going to be able to make it on time with Jeff Saturday? Like, nobody on that staff has called plays in the National Football League before. Like, this is crazy to me, but this just goes to show you how putrid the Raiders are. Like, that they're only getting 5 points against a Colt team that,
as Huss would know, I'm out on the Raiders. Okay, I'm not touching this game to save my life. There's plus I did dive into this game a bit because I'm a sicko. I'm a psycho.
Yes,
I was like, ooh, look at the Raiders this week. I'm going to get into the Raiders this week. Last week, Devonta Adams had 2 touchdowns, 9 catches, like 120 yards in the first half. Had 1 catch for 10 yards in the second half of that game. It doesn't make any sense. They're one of the worst teams in the league in the second half, whereas the Colts defensively actually aren't that bad in the second half. So to me, this has classic backdoor cover written all over it. I don't know if the Colts will win, but I can't go back to the Raiders 3 weeks in a row. I mean, my any respectability and integrity I still had would be completely out the window. So I had no take on this game.
Hey, the Raiders are, I don't even know what to say about the Raiders after last week. I mean, they've blown 3 17-point leads so far this season. They've been the worst team in the second half all year. But this is a big X because it's certainly not the Raiders. We're not laying points with the Raiders against anyone. And what's remaining of the Colts, although I wouldn't be surprised if, much like I just talked about the Browns, they're going to keep this football on the ground and try and run it. I think that the Colts will be doing that all day, presumably with Jonathan Taylor back and Dion there in the backfield as well. But, I mean, Plus 198 on the money line. Jeff Saturday, big win in his debut. I don't know. This game, you couldn't pay me to bet on this game on Sunday afternoon between these two teams. And frankly, just having this conversation is churning my stomach, reminding me how the hell the Chiefs lost to the Colts this season.
That's insane.
That was the 1 in a million game. I'm still pissed off about it. That being said, there will be no hard-earned Canadian currency wagered on either the Colts or the Raiders for week 10 in the NFL.
Yeah, that is 1,000% a stay away game. Don't even come close to it. I just wanted to pick your guys' brain because that storyline is just so fascinating to me. But yeah, again, once I get off this call here, I'm going to watch your guys' plays because I'll be honest, I can't sniff one of these out, man. I can't sniff them out. Kenneth Walker, anytime TD, though, you better believe I'm hammering that on Sunday.
Hey, let me throw one other game out, Pat, while you're here. Unless, Dusty, did you take in your best bets the Cardinals-Rams game?
No. Stayed away.
All right. Okay, explain to me this line. Rams at home, -1.5. Basically, I guess Matt Stafford's in the concussion protocol. I mean, is this saying that he might not be playing this week? I mean, the Cardinals, like, I don't need to go down the schedule. You guys are fully aware. I mean, they have been terrible all season long. They have 3 wins against bad teams so far this season. And the Rams, listen, I mean, that was a weird game because, going up 2 of the most disappointing teams in the NFL with the Bucs and the Rams. It's basically Cooper Kupp right now is that offense. And credit to Tom Brady for coming back and authoring that win in the final minute. The Rams beat the Cardinals handily in Arizona earlier this season. Part of it, I guess I'm just concerned about Stafford not playing. If he's in that game at home, I see no reason why not to bet. I'm shocked that it's not 3 at least, just for being a pick'em with the home field. But you guys have any thoughts on that game?
I actually, that was one of the games that I was kind of intrigued by, and I assumed that it's my only -0.5 because it's probably going to be John Wolford at center, under center. Like, so I mean, yeah. Do you really feel? But I mean, what happens if
he had a great flash last year or 2 years ago? I guess now, yeah.
Exactly, like we said, like. There's these coaches, man, like they find ways to run different offenses when there's, those quote unquote game managers under center. And again, this is more, you're not so much betting on him and the Rams. You're betting on the Cardinals just being such an absolute debacle of a team. Like you talked about the Raiders, no doubt undefeated, worst team in the second half, not too far behind are the Arizona Cardinals. And I think they've tuned out on their coach. I think Kyler Murray they're starting to lose faith in him in that locker room and with that management staff. So like they're in disarray. The Rams, they haven't had quite the season that they were expecting this year, but there's still a lot of pieces on that offense. So for me, again, plug your nose, maybe just bet them on the money line, put them in a money line parlay. But like Cardinals don't scare me at all, man. They're so fraudulent.
Well, and not to mention, God of War just came out on all platforms this week. So I think that Kyler Murray probably has not been spending very much time.
Somebody texted into my show this week and said, "Hey, I heard Kyler Murray's questionable this week with 2 sore thumbs, back stiffness, and eyesight issues." I was just like, "Yes, I like that. That's good." So
that guy has to get a Blu-ray or what are the blue glasses that help with the lights.
Yeah.
He needs to get an endorsement deal for that. Like when I'm gaming, not on game day, I wear these glasses.
Yeah.
Hey, Patty, what's the 27 days of football play today?
27 days of football. Obviously, it's Friday, so we got to go into college. And luckily for the viewers and for the tailors, it's good news because we have stunk in our NFL picks. I think we only have 1 college football loss. All our other losses have come from the NFL. We don't have an NFL winner yet so far, but we're going to college. It's Cincinnati against East Carolina. I'm taking the points with East Carolina. That's plus 4.5 right now. Line's already moving, so I'm going to lock that in. I'm going to send that video over to Jake before the line moves even more. But give me the Pirates plus 4.5 against the Bearcats.
There you go, cool betters. 27 days of football. Fade the NFL picks, ride with the college picks, and
there you go.
Make money.
Excellent, buddy. Have a
Exactly.
good one.
All right, cheers, boys. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Yeah, we will.
Thanks,
He said he's riding with the Pirates. Arr! Bet on the Pirates at Coolbet today. That'd be a fun one. All right, Huss, here we go, buddy. We got a couple games that we're both on here, Pittsburgh and Dallas. And yeah, you got the Chiefs on the card again, 8.5. This line opened a little bit bigger. I feel like it opened a little bit bigger, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm the fact that, we got it down an extra point, I think was part of the reason why I put it on. But let's start with the games that we're agreeing on. And I think the game that I like the most of all of these picks, not surprisingly to people that know me liking to take points, is Pittsburgh plus 1.5 at home. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be taking them on the money line. It's plus 102 right now for the Steelers to win at home. The Saints are coming off a short week. The Pittsburgh Steelers, by all accounts, are going to have TJ Watt back. And if you look at
that's the key
game,
right there. Stop right there. It's TJ Watt.
Key. But let's also talk about what the Steelers have done so far this season and who they've done it against. Yeah, they're 2-6. They beat the Bengals. Then they've lost Patriots, Browns, Jets. And that's obviously when, Mitch was going in, they were putting Pickett in. They got crushed by the Bills. They beat the Buccaneers. And then they've lost to the Dolphins and Eagles, both really good teams. Like, to me, the Saints are in a different class than most of the teams that they've lost to so far this year. I think Pickett's getting more confident. And to be honest, I think he's actually shown quite a bit so far. The biggest problem is that Najee Harris killing everyone that took him in fantasy and is not looking like the guy that they invested that high pick in right now. But man, I really do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers win this game. The boost they'll get from having TJ Watt back cannot be measured. And regardless of, I assume it's going to be Andy Dalton again. I'm not sure that Andy Dalton is going to be upright very long if he's in there, and what that does to everybody else on that Pittsburgh line. So I think Pittsburgh actually is better than a 2-6 team right now. I think they're back at home. They've got a great opportunity to get a win in front of their home fans. They will get a huge boost from Watt coming back as long as he is there. I really like them as a slight home underdog against the Saints, who right now are, like many teams, would be playing for next year if they weren't in the shittiest division in the NFL.
Before I dive into my thoughts on this, because I'm 100% with you, it was the easiest one. It's the first one I threw on the card this week. Do you think this gets to a pick'em by Sunday morning?
Good question. You know what? It's 1.5 right now. Maybe it gets to 1. Maybe our plus 102 ends up being sort of, minus 105. If anything, it might drift a little bit towards Pittsburgh. Although, I guess the morning, if they do have a big announcement, Watt's in and all that, you might get a little bit of steam on it. That being said, I think right now is the time to bet it. I wouldn't mind Pittsburgh, to be honest, even if Watt wasn't playing, but I think it's a huge, huge boost for them and probably worth a couple points on this number if TJ Watt's in the game.
Last season with TJ Watt in, they were the 13th best defense in the league. Without him, they were 30th. This year with him, before he got hurt, they were 3rd. Without him, they're 31st. Like, this is a guy who takes your defense from being god-awful horseshit to one of the best in the league. Like, it's just that simple. So you make a great point on it. We don't know how much Andy Dalton's going to be upright in this game. Outside of TJ Watt himself, the boost that he should bring to that Pittsburgh defense should be more than enough for the Steelers. That's why I'll be on the money line here as well. A couple of other things. Andy Dalton is 1-4 against the spread as a road favorite since 2018. And the list of quarterbacks he was playing was pretty much garbage the entire time anyway. So it's not like he was playing against a bunch of studs. And then there's this one. And, Hush, you mentioned short week. Steelers coming off a bye, okay? Mike Tomlin at home as a dog, 14-2-1 against the spread, has covered 9 straight games as a dog at home here, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're right. Even without Watt, I still think I wouldn't be near as comfortable with it, but I think I'd still be on Pittsburgh in this spot. But with Watt back, assuming he does play like he's been trending to all week, this one, this sounds like it's a third play on our partner parlay tomorrow. Like, we're both totally on board with the Steelers.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, the rest is significant. I mean, Pittsburgh's coming off a bye with a young quarterback, more time to work with Kenny Pickett, more time to prepare. The Saints just played Monday night and are traveling and going on the road right now. So we're in agreement. Pittsburgh plus 1.5. Don't be surprised if that ends up on the partner parlay for tomorrow. And I guess the other game that we both like, and I have not been someone that likes to lay significant points on the road, but it's pretty hard not to look at the Dallas Cowboys at minus 4.5 at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Packers season has absolutely cratered. What are we now at? 5 losses in a row?
Yep.
Losses to the Giants at home, the Jets at home, and then road losses to the Commanders, Bills, and the Detroit Lions last week. The Dallas Cowboys are way better than 4 of the teams that have just handed Green Bay losses so far. Add in Romeo Dubes is out. Alan Lazard is knocked up, is banged up. The corpse of Sammy Watkins is being rolled out there, completely unable to do anything right now. And obviously Aaron Jones left the game last week. They don't have the talent to begin with. Aaron Rodgers is having a miserable season, and now they've got a bunch of injuries, and they can't stop the run. And I'm telling you right now, whether it's Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott, they are going to run all day long, and I think that's going to allow Dak Prescott to have a little bit more freedom in the passing game right now. I'm not someone that normally lays points like this on the road, but I cannot help but think the Dallas Cowboys are in another class than the Green Bay Packers right now. I think this season is just going from bad to worse for Green Bay, and I think the Dallas Cowboys romp at Lambeau on Sunday afternoon, so I will lay that 4.5.
Yeah, my only hesitancy is that damn Mike McCarthy. You know what I mean? Like, going back to Green Bay, like, that's the only thing I'm just like, yeah, but it's Mike McCarthy against Green Bay. Like, we'll see what happens. Outside of that, I'm with you on everything you said. I mean, I've been listening to a few podcasts this week, and hear people say, oh, Green Bay might be able to run the ball against the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm like, I don't think Green Bay can do anything offensively against anyone. I mean, if you can't put up more than 10 points against the Detroit Lions, what in the hell are you going to do against the Dallas Cowboys and what they're bringing to the table? Like, I just don't see Green Bay having enough offensively to get anywhere close to getting it done in this game. And, Aaron Rodgers can say what he wants on different platforms and stuff like that. And he can bitch about not having receivers and things like that. But Aaron Rodgers is starting to look to me like he's absolutely mailed it in. Going back and watching that Packers-Lions game last week, he's hitting guys in the head. Like, he's not into it. Aaron Rodgers is not into it. The Dallas Cowboys defense, I would think, and I'll be stunned if they don't destroy this guy. So, I mean, I saw it a couple of days ago. I think it was at 5.5, and I was like, man, I still don't mind it. Now it's in at 4.5. I love it. So, yeah, Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh and Dallas are the first two. And I actually, usually you send me your picks, and then I'll sit down and kind of lock in mine. I did mine because I wasn't working this morning. I locked them in a little bit earlier. And as I locked them in, I was like, I wonder what Huss is going to send over. Like, I wonder if we're on a few of these same games. And it's really funny because we got 2 of the same. And then your KC and Giant picks were the 2 that just didn't make the cut for me. I had a group of 6. And KC and the Giants were, I guess, 5 and 6 after what else I locked in. So this is a very, as much as we didn't like the board, I think we're seeing it in a pretty similar way here this weekend, Huss.
Well, we sort of ended up in the same spot. And I'll be honest, and you can maybe get to this right now. I mean, Seattle plus 2.5 over in Germany against the Buccaneers. I thought long and hard about that game, ended up staying off of it just because there's a number of the intangibles of the travel and how far Seattle's going, and maybe the boost that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got from that late win against the Rams last week. They are still a first-place team, as hilarious as that sounds, at 4-5. But what gave you the confidence to lay it with Seattle in this game, getting 2.5 points against Tom Brady and the Bucs?
Yeah, I mean, to me, once again, it's just the disrespect of the Seahawks. They've won 4 straight. This isn't like they've covered in 4 straight. They squeaked out 4 straight. They've won 4 straight games by at least 10 points. I mean, you're not going to find many teams at any point during any stretch that are going to win, no matter how good you are, Bills, Chiefs, whoever. How many teams are going to put together a winning streak of 4 straight games by winning by at least double digits against a Bucs team that had to grind one out against a not good Rams team? Like, I don't know. I love the fact that we're still getting the Seahawks as underdogs here. I don't know how much longer this can last. Over the last month, the Seattle Seahawks have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. Like, this is not just Geno Smith getting lucky and playing well for a bit. This is half the season now this has been sustained, and they look like they're just getting better. And, I don't even mind the spot overseas for them here. Like, I don't know if it rattles them too much in this certain spot. They're still going to be viewed at it. They're going to be sitting there. If they already don't have this mindset of being disrespected by the entire league, you think they're going to roll overseas and see everybody bowing down to old Tom Brady, who can't do anything anymore, and just let him walk all over you? So, yeah, Seattle plus 2.5. When I first saw the line pop up, I was just like, oh, man, here we go again. I mean, I feel like you kind of got to ride the Seahawks until they buck you. And I've always been a very anti-12 and Seahawk guy, but, man, they just kind of won me over this season, and they just legitimately look good. Like, I don't feel like they're a paper champion here, Huss. Like, statistically, they're backing it up pretty much at every level.
If they did not come into this year with the expectations that most of the collective brains and the public had about them being one of the worst teams in the league, we're talking about them being favorites right now, because the bottom line is the body of work that the Seattle Seahawks have put forth this year has been near the top of the league, and Tampa's been an incredible disappointment. And I do think that this line, to be honest, is a little bit of a reaction to, one drive at the end of the game against the Rams for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, to be honest, and again, I stayed away from this game because I still am somewhat unsure about both of these teams and the location. The Seahawks shouldn't be getting points in this game. If anything, this should be a pick 'em on a neutral field. So I certainly can't disagree with that pick. It was Seattle or nothing for me when looking at that game in Hamburg.
In 3 of the Bucs wins this year, they've thrown 1 touchdown. Like, their offense is non-existent so far this year, and it's a Seahawks defense that's been one of the best in the league for the last month. So that's one of them. And then I'll quickly go Miami. I know we talked about it a little bit with Pat, and I thought it was a pretty good conversation. And you guys made some interesting points about Cleveland, but it's still not going to sway me away from this, and mostly due to the splits here. Miami on the road, their defense is no good. Miami at home, 7th best defense in the National Football League. So, I mean, maybe it's the weather, maybe it's location, whatever. The Miami Dolphins defensive home is night and day compared to what we just saw on the road against, Justin Fields absolutely running all over them. So, they're also, this is interesting. I mean, from a money line perspective, if you're thinking the Browns, in games this year where Tua has played at least half the snaps, Dolphins are 6-0. Like, nobody has beat the Dolphins yet with Tua playing a full game. So, I think Miami, Tyreek Hill might be in the MVP conversation, to be honest with you. He's having a monstrous season. I just don't know. And Cleveland can certainly try to keep the ball on the ground with Nick Chubb. It's really the only way they can win this football game outside of, obviously, turnovers, but that can happen in any game. If Miami's offense can continue to do what they do, I just don't see Cleveland being able to keep up with them against the Miami home defense. So because of that, I'm going to take the Dolphins. I know you like it at 2.5. It's going to be 3.5. I might, if I'm just going to bet it straight up, maybe try to move that down to 2.5 just to cover the field goal. But I like Miami minus 3.5. I think their defense at home should be enough to contain Nick Chubb, and I don't think Cleveland has another way to get it done in this game.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this game is Browns or nothing. I mean, even if you look at the games that they lost in that 4-game losing streak, they did have that putrid game at home against the Patriots. But other than that, they lost by just a field goal at the Ravens. They lost by 2 points to the Chargers in a game they probably should have won. They lost by 3 to the Atlanta Falcons in a game that they definitely should have won. Like, they've been hanging in these games right now. And then, of course, they had their biggest win of the season the last time out, pounding the Cincinnati Bengals 33-13. So to me, I could see this game being close. I certainly stayed away from that. And that's sort of where I'm at on this one. My other 2 picks, as I said, I'm going back to the Chiefs this week. That was a really weird way to lose a perfect week with just a bizarre game. They got up 9-0 right away. Seemed like the minute Harrison Butker missed that extra point, things got a little weird for Kansas City. I mean, there was about 10 minutes where the Tennessee Titans offense actually moved the football. Derrick Henry had a couple. There was that one big 50-yard pass that I think sort of stunned Kansas City. But in the second half, Tennessee did absolutely nothing. But credit to the Tennessee Titans defense. Man, they always play the Chiefs so tough. And Pat Mahomes had to be brilliant, throw for 446. And they had absolutely no running game in that game. This is a get-right game, I think, for the Chiefs. It was 9.5. It's now down to 8.5. And, essentially that's winning by 2 scores. And I certainly think the Chiefs are 2 scores better at home against a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And considering the way things went last week, I really do think that Andy Reid is going to be looking for his team to come out, have a dominant offensive performance, and put this one out of the stress zone in the second half right now. And hey, for Patrick Mahomes, who's probably the leader right now in the MVP voting, this is a perfect opportunity against a terrible defense to put up some big numbers and help boost that. And obviously get to 7-2. We talked about the situation with the Bills right now. One more win than Buffalo for the rest of the way here for Kansas City could get the Chiefs having the path to the Super Bowl go through Arrowhead and the all-important bye. So not a lot from Jacksonville's side of things that's going to make me think that they're going to be in, although I am somewhat nervous about some sort of a backdoor cover. We've seen it overall. I mean, I could see the Chiefs being up by 15 or 16, and then a late touchdown makes it in that danger zone. But I'm going to lay the 8.5 on the Kansas City Chiefs. And the other game, and this was the last game that I put on the docket. And to be honest with you, Dusty, this is a bet on Brian Daboll. I've been so impressed with what he's done so far this year. And of course, the Giants coming off the bye after their worst loss of the season when they got pumped pretty good out on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. They've been good at home, though. I mean, they squeaked out that win against the Panthers. They lost in a close game against the Dallas Cowboys with their only other loss of the season, handled the Bears, obviously took out the Packers. That was an overseas game, and then beat the Ravens as well. Houston just isn't in that category right now. I mean, I love Dameon Pierce, and I think they've got a few nice pieces, but this team is a few years away from, I think, getting the benefits of the trades that they've made and the players to make them competitive right now. And I know Brian Daboll's had a great off week preparing to get back in the win column. I just think that the Giants are a good touchdown better than the Houston Texans. Could be wrong on this one. Again, this wasn't a real strong play. But when I looked at some of the other teams with the situation, bye week, better coach, a team that has shown their ability to win right now, I don't love laying 4.5 at home with a team like the Giants right now that has won some close games so far. But I think that they're better than the Houston Texans. I think they're good enough to beat them by a touchdown. And I think that they'll have an offensive game plan with the benefit of a couple weeks to get ready for this game to make sure that they get it done and hopefully not keep it close. So I'll lay the 4.5 on the Giants at home against the Texans on Sunday.
All right. So there you go. Once again, it is, we're both on Pittsburgh plus 1.5. We're both on Dallas minus 4.5. Hutz is on KC minus 8.5 and the Giants minus 4.5. I'm on Seattle plus 2.5 against the Bucks and Miami minus 3.5 at home against Cleveland. Those are your best bets for week 10 from the Lock Shop. If you've been watching on Twitter, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've been watching on YouTube today, thank you very much for checking out. Closing in, I think we're right just shy of 250 subscribers on YouTube. If you are watching, or maybe you're listening to the podcast, you're not aware of this just yet, you're going to want to hop on Twitter at Lock Shop Bets, retweet the pinned tweet there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll go into a draw for $1,000 cash, just straight cash. And when we hit 1,000 members, we're going to dish that out. Us, and we'll be back with some more content tomorrow, right, buddy?
You got it. We'll figure out this partner parlay. I think it's a pretty good chance the Steelers are going to end up on that, and then hopefully get a couple other winners and pang that in. And as they say, if considering how difficult it was to figure out the 4 best bet picks, might be adjusting a few lines for some nice parlays on the weekend, but got 24 hours to do that. We'll get after it tomorrow afternoon with some of our favorites, a few props as well for Sunday, week 10 in the National Football League.